Welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today. We're gonna be making one pot lasagna. And we're gonna make this as simple as you want to make it or as complicated as you wanna make it. So stick around, let's hang out and make some lasagna together. My name is Heather and I wanna help you gain confidence in the kitchen and be able to make any recipe your own while having some fun. Okay. Now we're going to prep our ingredients to build our foundation for our lasagna. So that starts with a little celery, cut off the ends. You really should be mincing everything incredibly fine so that it all just melts and dissolves into this beautiful meat sauce that we're going to be making. You get to choose how much effort you put into this. So if you want to make them very, very tiny, make it very, very tiny. If you're just trying to get food into your belly that is delicious as quickly as possible, then do that. Don't feel the need to do anything more or less than what you want to do to make this your own. And to make this the effort that you want to put into it. You could even go finer than all of that. And then I love these Y-shaped peelers. I find them so much easier than the other kind of peeler. And then it's the same thing here. You're just going to cut the carrots into as small of chunks as you want. It is a really awkward move at first to learn how to curl your fingers. It feels very counterintuitive. But especially if you're going to be chopping a lot of things, it just makes sense to figure out how to do it so that you are protecting a very important appendage.
And then you're going to chop a whole onion. Again, choose as fine a chop as you want. Remember, the finer the chop, the easier the onions will melt into our delicious meat sauce.
A trick I learned with onions is to light a candle whenever you're cutting it, and it helps to reduce the tears. And it really does work, but you do have to light it before you start, or like right at the beginning. If you do it at the end, it's too late. The other day I didn't do this. I didn't light a candle and my eyes were watering so bad that tears were literally streaming down my face. I gotta be honest, my candle trick, which has always worked for me in the past, is not working on these very good powerful onions. Garlic is one of those things. Use as much as your heart desires. So what I do is I give them a little smush and a peel. And then I use my neat little squisher to give them a squish. And you really could cut them even smaller than that, dice them even smaller, mince them, if you will. You could mince them very, very tiny. But I just am lazy. There, I said it. I'm just a little lazy sometimes. And you know, you're already putting so much work into this. Where you can cut little corners, feel free to do what makes the most sense for you. And then look. They are all nice and ready for us.
Heat up the pan before adding in the olive oil. You want enough olive oil to cover the bottom of the pan. Keep the heat low enough so that the onion mixture doesn't burn, so medium to medium low, and then add in the onion mixture. Once the onions are translucent, add in the garlic. Then add in your meat. You can beef it up by adding, well, technically Italian sausage, which is typically pork, or use whatever meat you'd prefer, turkey, bison, deer. But if you're using a lean meat, make sure to add some extra fat in to help with that flavor, like olive oil or butter. If you're doing veganuary, you could use lentils instead of meat. This is a moment to season the meat. I added some salt and Italian seasoning and turned up the heat a little. Now, like all good tomatoey meat sauces, the longer you can leave it, the better it will be. If you're able to, I really want you to let the vegetables and meat go. Let them get really soft if you have the time and make them kind of caramelly. This might mean turning down the heat to really let them get squishy and delicious and almost almost melty, but we're not looking for them to burn. If you've ever roasted a marshmallow, it's the difference between browning it all over and setting it on fire. I personally can never wait for an even brown, but if you can wait here, I highly encourage you to do so. Make the beef sauce as tomatoey as you want. I'm adding tomato sauce, but tomato paste would be perfect as well. Keep tasting it as you go. I really wanted some tomato chunks in there, so I also added in some Italian diced tomatoes. You could do any type of diced, fire-roasted, tomatoey situation that makes you feel warm and fuzzy, and that goes with the theme of the meal. And then I added in an additional tomato sauce because it definitely needed some more tomato flavor. If you had a Parmesan rind you've been saving for a special occasion, this one pot lasagna is it. Add it in. I like to add a splash of cumin, and then to balance the flavors, I also added ground coriander and basil, along with a lot of Italian seasoning and oregano. You can always take out a small amount of the sauce and experiment with flavors if you're uncertain. Taste again and see if you want anything else before we add in the wine and beef stock. Use vegetable stock if you're going for a vegetarian meal. If you're off the sauce, then double up the amount of stock you're using instead of wine. I'm making my own lasagna noodles, but this recipe works just as well with pre-made lasagna noodles. I'm just taking chunks and putting them into the sauce. If you were doing store-bought, break them up and put them in instead. I don't have any Parmesan, but if I did, I would stir some Parmesan throughout, and then I'm putting big globs of ricotta and mozzarella on top. For the ricotta, so that it doesn't end up all mealy, I combined the ricotta with an egg, and then just dumped in some delicious globs. You can make this vegetarian or vegan by using vegan cheese. If you're hungry, you're done. Don't put it in the oven, serve it like that once the cheese gets a little melty and the noodles are done. Otherwise, pop it in the oven at 350 for 45 minutes covered with foil. Then leave it uncovered for 30 minutes so it can get all nice and brown on top.
Okay guys, let's go ahead and taste this absolutely delicious, amazing looking, everything's so brown, but brown's just flavor, right? And there's plenty of flavor here. Okay, I want to get a bite of all these cheeses and some of that homemade noodly goodness. The buildup on flavor that we were able to achieve through just continuing to add and add and add is so good. Curious what delicious modifications you make to this, because no matter what you do, it's going to be amazing. Please tell me in the comments what you're going to do to this to make it your own. I can't wait to hear about it. And remember guys, it starts with a bite. Hit that like and subscribe button and we can continue to hang out and you can continue to figure out how to make every dish your own.